Welcome, folks. Fred Gleek here with Bill DeWeese for once again the weekly podcast slash YouTube channel slash whatever else we come up with today. So, Bill, how are you and how was your week?
Hey, Fred. Good. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. You look good.
Doing great. Haven't shaved in a while.
Yeah, so you look very relaxed, very casual today. For those who are listening via the audio podcast.
Yes.
I had a good week. I did over 5,000. 5159 was the exact number with overflow into this upcoming week. So that was good. So that it was. I was due a really big week or a really solid week. So this was it.
And so let's go back and start. Well, that's good because that was, and again, we probably will assume, will we not, that this was because you had been for the last 4 weeks or so doing a lot of auditions, and some of that fruit was becoming ripe, correct?
Yeah, a couple of new clients came through this week as a result, and continuing on into next week, I got a couple of new clients already lined up. So that's good.
Well, go ahead. Start with
I was just going to say Monday was Memorial Day, so actually I didn't work Monday, and that was what made this even sweeter.
Well, are you meaning to tell me that a voiceover artist shouldn't work on holidays?
Well, yeah, I think you got to take off, a day every now and then. And the reality is, if my clients, most of them had been working, I would be working as well.
Right.
And I was around in case if I was needed. We didn't go anywhere, but most of my clients had the day off, so it was slow. Well,
okay.
it was non-existent. So
it was zero.
Zero, right? Exactly.
So then let's move on to Tuesday.
And Tuesday wasn't much better. I thought, oh my gosh, it took people a little while to wake up after the holidays. I worked on two things on Tuesday, which is a very slow day. I did some pickups for that Verdician Life Sciences, which is agricultural chemicals for feed or something, and then I did a training narration on how to scope out a project. And so that was like edge of your seat kind of stuff, very, very exciting stuff. And that was it for Tuesday. And so I don't even know how much I made. It was hardly anything though.
Total amount of hours spent on those two projects, or total?
Oh, it was less than an hour.
Got it. So did you have a chance to do some auditioning then as well?
Yes, that's exactly. Well, I've been taking advantage of every spare minute to do auditions when I'm not actually working. And so yes, that's what happened. And then Wednesday, the floodgates
open.
I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 projects.
Wow.
On Wednesday. Would you like me to tell you about some of them?
Yeah, please.
I did some on hold for the regular Baptist Church general denomination. I do their on hold stuff. Did an ad for a regional car dealership. This was not a job, but the coolest audition I did all week was they're looking for a voice for The Late Late Show with James Corden.
Yeah.
And tonight on The Late Late Show, it's blah, blah, blah. So I was asked to audition for that, which was cool. It's cattle call, but I'm sure it wasn't a huge audition like some auditions were. I haven't heard back on that. I recorded some podcasts for Accenture. Let's see, another training for a company called McKinsey. I'm not familiar with.
McKinsey consulting firm?
Must be.
Yeah.
Okay. Lowe's, Cisco, did some financial planning narration, did some more on hold work. I did some medical malpractice commercials.
Ooh.
Have you or a loved one been injured?
Yeah.
Get what's due to you, that kind of thing. So I did.
Bastards is what it is.
What's that?
Sue the bastards.
Exactly. So that I did that. I did a recording for being environmentally responsible for some client in Europe. And then I did some museum narration for the Masons in Missouri, and that was a new client.
Uh-huh.
So that.
And how long ago did that audition take place?
About 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Got it?
Yeah, it was a while back. I had to go back and do some research to figure out who it was. It had been back a while.
And that brings up a good point, which is, again, how quickly do these oftentimes, or what's the standard? Is there a standard?
Yeah, well, I would say on average a couple of weeks, but I've been hired, next day, same day. I've had some that have gone for months. And people say, remember that audition you did back in blah, blah. And, of course, I have no clue.
Right.
But that's not uncommon. So you can't get antsy after a few days or even a few weeks. You just never know. And here's another thing, Fred, and perhaps this is the big takeaway here. No audition is wasted, even if you don't win the audition. It means that somebody heard you, and you may not be the best person for that job to them, but if they like you, what will happen is oftentimes somebody will put you in file, or they'll make a note that, oh, yeah, Bill DeWeese guy, he wasn't right for this, but we really liked him. And that frequently, well, I shouldn't say frequently, not every day, but occasionally I'll have somebody say, you auditioned for this job and we didn't want to use you for that, but I've got another job I think you'd be perfect for.
So now that brings up an interesting point. I can buy that happens. The question really is, how often does it happen, and what do they actually do when they keep you on file? Explain, and you're not there, but guess at the process that they use to, they say, I like that guy DeWeese's voice, but not quite right for this project.
Right.
Then exactly what do you think they do? What happens?
Well, if it's somebody that I've contacted directly, like by phone or email, and they have access, well, like, let's say they have an email from me, regardless whether it was phone or email, because the follow-up would be an email. They'll save the email. And whether they tag it or star it or put it in a folder,
right.
That's very typical. They'll save the email for future reference.
So what might happen is, in a future project, rather than first putting the word out there on a pay-per-play site or some kind of to their production house,
yes,
they'll go back and review their records, their sort of saved people that might be good for later. Is that how they do it?
Yes. Yes, that's generally how it works. And it doesn't happen every day. It might happen once or twice a month. But those are new clients.
Yep.
And so that's a really big deal. And then with pay-to-play sites like your Voices.com or Voice123, a client has the option to favorite you. Which means you go on their short list so that when something comes up, they see, oh, Fred Gleek's one of my favorites. So let's listen to his demos again. He might be right for this. So again, no audition, no marketing is really ever wasted.
Excellent. Okay, so now that sounds like that was Wednesday was the big day.
That was Wednesday, yeah.
What happened on Thursday?
Another big day. I did some training narration for drug development and testing. Kind of the process that drug manufacturers in Europe and the U.S. have to go through. Also, training narration for SDL. In my memory, I don't remember what that means. SDL stands for something. But I did.
Strategic Defense Lighting.
I like it. Or League.
Right.
The Strategic Defense League.
A tribute to Snowden. Yeah.
So I did that I did some training for some trade unions on how to organize a campaign and to make it difficult for non-union folks to get a foothold in the market.
Boy, that really rang true with you as a non-union.
Don't you know it, as a non-union talent. We'll work for a pay, so hey, whatever. Narration for a financial planning company, and that was another new client that I picked up, and so that was exciting. I always loved those.
When you were in corporate life and dealing with various kinds of new clients, oftentimes I remember, depending on what industry you're in, it's oftentimes appropriate when you land a new client to send them like a gift basket or some kind of nonsense like that. Do you do anything like that for new clients?
Yeah, I don't. The gift basket, that's interesting, and that's not a bad idea.
Okay. It's not a good idea, but it's not a bad idea.
No, it is a good idea. I've never, being that, here's the thing, with voiceovers, it's so easy to pick people, and rarely, there's not that much loyalty. So I don't put out a huge expense or energy, but I have done thank you notes, handwritten thank you notes, video email. I've used that. Yep. Sometimes I'll just follow up with a quick email. I almost always follow up at least with a thank you of some sort, whether it's by phone, which I've done, phone, video email, written hand note, or sometimes by email, which is probably the lamest.
Now, video email, we haven't spoken about that much. What is your link for that if they wanted to sign up for the video email? Do you even remember that?
I believe it's smartvideomailtool.com. Give me a double check that.
Yeah, why don't you check that as we're thinking. So the idea here is that oftentimes you will find some way of getting in touch with a new client to say thank you, whether it's in the form of electronic communication or, again, something that's inexpensive because, again, we as voiceover talent are commodity items for the most part.
Right.
and therefore not worth spending a whole lot of money, time, and effort on new clients, except to say thank you in a very cost-effective fashion.
Right. And Smart Video Mail Tool is
SmartVideoMailTool.com.
yeah.
So if people want to sign up to get video email, that's where they go.
Yeah, and it's really easy to use and do. I also did some more. I've worked on this before. I mentioned it. Some English lessons for kids that don't speak English as a first language on how to get the most out of when they read, how to understand. I did some training narration for a software development company, more on hold for national car rental for the Cleveland Hopkins International Airport, their presence there. Also for an Italian restaurant and for the Chicago Southland Visitors Association, did on hold for them.
Oh, by the way, congratulations are in order. The Rangers lost Game 7, but the Chicago Blackhawks did win.
Now, I'm not a hockey fan, but my wife informed me this morning that the Blackhawks were going to.
Neither am I, but I was in an environment where everybody else was screaming and yelling.
Everybody around here are wearing their Blackhawks jerseys. I just never quite got into it. I think I'm not that violent of a person. Maybe I don't. Boxing and hockey, it just never really rang true to me.
People with sticks as opposed to hitting the puck. Whatever.
Yeah. So now here, you'll find this interesting. I took on this was my biggest project of the week in terms of time, not in terms of money. But I voiced characters there's an online video game called Skyforge.
Okay.
It's like a multiplayer online. It's not as big as League of Legends, which is the biggest online video game.
There's Clash of Clans, too. I know my kids and my wife.
Clash of Clans, yes, that's another really big
Game
one.
of War is another one.
But if you just Google Skyforge, you'll see it's another one of those, mythic God versus man kind of thing. But I believe it or not, I voiced 28 characters for that game on Thursday night. It took me about 4.5 hours, and most of them were not huge parts. They were just lines. Like, come rescue us! Somebody's about to kill us! That kind of stuff.
You have to do 28 different voices.
Well, let me tell you this. There's a story behind this, and maybe a lesson as well. Is I was contacted by a production company in Russia who had done all of the Russian audio for that version of the game.
Right.
And so they're casting for English, and they found me through my website.
Right.
And
after a few vodkas.
What's that?
After a few vodkas.
After a few vodkas, yeah. I sound really good after a few vodkas.
Right, absolutely.
They said, we really like your voice, and we think you're perfect for this. And they said, it doesn't pay much. And literally, the job paid $450. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's a lot of work for $450. But I thought, well, this is it stretches me out of my comfort zone, which I'm good with that. Yeah. And it's a new credit and something for my resume, which is very different from anything I've ever done. So I said, what the heck, I'll do it. And so they sent me all of the information. And it turns out not only did I have to voice these lines, but I had to go back and time a lot of them to the original Russian versions.
So you had to make it the same exact length.
Well, yeah, and I actually had to listen. I had to go back and open their audio file to see how long it was. So it was a very tedious process.
Yeah. Had you known that up front, you probably would have said no.
Well, yeah, after I got it, and actually I sat down with it, I said to myself and Mallory, I said, there's no way. I can't do this. So I contacted Mikhail, of course, is the guy. And so I contacted Mikhail and I said, I'm very sorry. I apologize. I know I said I would accept this, but as I look at this is just a much larger project than I anticipated. And I just don't think I can do 28 different characters for you and all of the work required and have it to you by Friday. They wanted it by end of week. And so he wrote back and said, hey, listen, here's the thing. You don't have to really create 28 distinctly different characters. We really like your voice. So just do your best with just add some emotion and maybe give a little separation of character. But you don't have to do 28 distinctly different voices. And so I said, okay. And so I did it, and I'm really glad I did, Fred, because it was an experience, and I made $450 working about 4.5 hours.
Just out of curiosity, do you have that job sitting on your desktop that you could bring up and back to back let us hear like 3 or 4 of those things in a row?
I think I can find. It's not sitting on my desktop, but I know where I can go to it.
Yeah, because I'm just curious to hear like sequentially 4 or 5 of these in a row. Just to see what it was.
I should have known that you would ask for this. I should have anticipated and been ready.
Yeah, well, as you're doing that, but I'm just curious as to. But again, here's an example. You're saying that sometimes you may take a job because it's something different, something new, something challenging, or something that breaks the monotony.
Yeah, and sometimes, here's the thing. Sometimes you think, well, I'm no good at that, but you've never really tried it, and you do it, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm not so bad.
Right? Like me, I didn't eat broccoli for a long time.
But once you tried it,
And now I love broccoli. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do, this is, okay, here's a character. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this through my earbud. That's all I have in the studio with me
Okay.
to play back with, but let's see if you can.
Yeah, yes, Cray can take you. The Immortals are hacking through these creatures now. I'm sure the others managed to reach a safe place.
So there's a line.
Yeah.
Perhaps there are survivors in Ivos. After all, there's a Templar troop patrolling the area.
This guy's a lumberjack. That's who he is.
Yeah.
Now here's, I wish I could remember what these characters were.
Just play something so we can hear it.
Okay, here's a survivor of something.
Oh, damned Reapers. Everything happened so quickly.
Yeah, so
We went
basically,
to scout the area, and then they
yeah,
came
it's
sweep.
your voice, but different emotions. They're okay with that.
Yeah, this guy's like obviously all battle worn and barely, hanging on to life. So, so there you go. That was my big excitement for the week.
And that was Thursday, correct?
That was
So,
Thursday night. I worked about 10 or so, about 9:30 or 10 at night. I wrapped up.
got it. Now, do you pay yourself overtime when you do that?
No, neither does anyone else, unfortunately.
Okay, so then what's Friday look like?
And then Friday, I did some narration for a public transportation alternative company. I forget the name of it, but it was like you like a carpooling kind of thing.
Okay.
And then I did some more work for New Mexico PBS promos, which I almost always do on Friday. And then I did a really big project for Hitachi. When I say really big, I mean 77 pages. It was over 2 hours of finished audio, so it took the bigger part of the day.
And that total project, 77 pages, what you build them how much?
How much? It ended up being, I think, after it was all said and done, it was about $1,400.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Good.
that was a big chunk. And the great thing is, at the end of the week, we had clients who were just like coming out of the woodwork at the end of the week, and I had to back them up until Monday. And I've got, if my math is right, I've got about $1,500 scheduled already for tomorrow,
Got it.
not including whatever else comes in.
Which, by the way, we're recording this on Sunday, which oftentimes we record on Friday, but we couldn't get to it. So that's good. I mean, it sounds like it was a good week, and you kind of like made up for a few things that went south the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Any other lessons to be learned here?
Well, and I don't know about that, but I will tell you this. It's going to be interesting because next week I have decided that I'm going to take my first 1-week vacation in the history of my voiceover career, almost 10 years now. And I'm taking off Wednesday after I finish up work, and then I'm not coming back to work until the following Thursday.
Oh, my God. Where are you going?
Well, we're going to go to Ohio, actually, and see old friends from when we were in college.
Good.
And then visit with my mom, too, who's there. But we have some of the best friends we've ever had are still in Columbus, Ohio. So we're going to go back and visit with them.
Hi
So,
to Urban Meyer, my trader coach from Florida.
what's that?
Say hi to Urban Meyer, trader
yeah.
from Florida.
Oh, we love Urban Meyer. He is, I mean, I tell you what, when you take Ohio State to a championship, you become an immortal god to people who live in Ohio.
Like Woody Hayes Jr.
Exactly. Reincarnated.
Cool. So anything else we should talk about before we finish up for folks?
I don't think, I mean, just remember that when things may slow down, they may not look good, but what you do during that downtime is what will determine what things look like 2, 3, 4 weeks down the road. And I hope that I've demonstrated that when things got slow, I just went back to work, marketing and auditioning, and things picked back up again.
And so the other thing to remember is things only get really, really dark right before they get completely black, is what it is.
Exactly.
On that note, and on an uplifting note like that, we have to leave. Thanks so very much for listening and watching on the YouTube channel. Fred Gleek here with Bill Lewis. And Bill, again, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Fred.